it's good old fashioned sexism too. It's not even like overt. It's not new age. This is old school sexism.
This is one of my qualms with Love Island, actually, because it is always a question on Love Island is the body count question. And there is always, without a doubt, some man who says they can't date someone or date a woman that has had a body count over like 5.
Welcome to Pelvic POV with your hosts and doctors of physical therapy, Amanda Neary and Hannah Meyer.
Hey, pelvic freaks. Welcome back to another episode of Pelvic POV.
We're your freaks for us and we're freaks for your pelvis, baby.
Wow, my voice is almost 100% back now.
Amanda's been coughing and yakking up a freaking storm over here. Not queefing up a storm, just quacking up a storm.
Not queefing, just quacking.
Yakking up a storm, man.
I have never dealt with losing my voice for this long before. It's been like 8 days. And honestly, in the headphones, it sounds kind of sexy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm giving Brooke Davis. Did you guys watch One Tree Hill? Because
I did.
Wow.
I watched it recently. I rewatched it and it's so bad watching it now as an adult.
No, it's not. It's an amazing rewatch.
No.
I've seen it as an adult.
So
I watch it like once every 2 years.
It's so cringy, dude.
I love
Gossip
it.
Girl rewatches, though, where it's at.
Also fucking terrible.
But it's so good.
One is not more terrible than the other.
You're right. But speaking of Amanda's sexy new voice, she also, guys, she not presented, but did an interview on Fox News.
I did. Of all networks.
Yeah. Well, we recently released an endometriosis episode, guys. We're filming this during endometriosis. We're filming this during Endometriosis Awareness Month. So Amanda did a segment on Fox News talking about endometriosis and advocating for people that deal with pain from endometriosis. And she also talked about the importance of trans healthcare as well, which was super awesome to drop on Fox News.
Yeah, when the publicist that reached out to me told me what network it was on, I was originally like, interesting. If I go on that interview, I'm going to make it a little political. And she was like, go for it. And I was like, okay. The anchor was fine. Didn't give me a lot of pushback.
Yeah, it was really smooth. I was really
sweet.
impressed. You sounded so professional.
Thanks. I can turn it on.
Mm-hmm. You sounded really good.
Some people are probably like, you were on the news. I've heard your podcast. And I'm like,
no. The news.
I can turn it on. Don't worry.
No, you did good. I know. We're really goofy on the podcast, guys. Like, we know how it is. If you're tuning in and you are wanting to learn something on a podcast, we're not just going to sit here and be like spitting facts at you. We want to make it entertaining and educational so that you're like learning something, but it's also like something you actually want to listen to on your hot girl walk, you know?
Totally.
So we did release an endometriosis episode in February. Recently, a few episodes back. So we are filming this right now in Endometriosis Awareness Month. So we wanted to shout out. And if you are dealing with endometriosis and you feel lost, go back and listen to that episode. If you have any more questions on endometriosis or the specific pain you're experiencing, please send it in.
Heck yeah. All right, switching gears a little bit. I need to talk about this. It's not a want, it's a need.
It's a necessity.
Cord cutting ceremonies.
Oh
my God. I had no idea how life-changing it would be to just freaking do it. And for reference, Hannah has told me about cord cutting ceremony. Like last year, you told me about them and you did one, right?
Yeah, I did.
And she told me like 2 weeks later is when her life just got really good and turned around. And this first quarter hit me like a ton of bricks. It was rough on the mentee bees in many capacities. And I decided to take charge. My Saturn return has come to a close. And I said, you know what? I'm finally going to do a cord cutting ceremony. I probably have a couple more to do, if I'm being honest. But I did one. And lo and behold, 2 weeks later, shit just got really good again. And that is so real.
Yeah. So let's describe what a cord cutting ceremony is.
Yeah, you do it.
Because I did one too.
I sound crazy.
Okay. What a cord cutting ceremony is you get 2 candles. You get 1 white candle and 1 black candle. And the black candle represents the person who you are trying to pretty much cut the cord with or separate from in your life. PSA, do not do this ceremony unless you are 100% confident that you do not want to see this person anymore or you want them completely out of your life, because that's the purpose of this. So don't be doing it like if you're still like teeter-tottering with your ex and you're like, oh, like I know that they're not good for me, but I still want them back. Don't do it until you're 100% like, I'm done. I don't want my ex back in my life. I want to move on. All right. That's my PSA. Anyways, the white candle represents you, yourself, you pure little angel, you. And then you tie a quote unquote cord or a string around your 2 candles. And then you put them in a bowl. I put salt, like a salt ring around my candles too. And then you light both of the candles and pretty much just watch the candles burn and what the candles do. And you can analyze how they burn or like what happens during the process, take a picture of it. But how they burn is in hopes to cut the cord between you two, tying you two together, and then you're free.
It was insane. So I got the cord cutting ceremony kit from Sideshow Gallery.
Oh, I didn't even know they had a kit.
They have a kit. So it comes with the little jar, cutest little jar you've ever seen of the black salt, the white and black candle, the string, and it comes with a matchbox too,
Nice.
and then the card. So it walks you through the steps. And it had a cute little like sword in it and a crystal that you like put on your little altar.
Nice.
And it was, I didn't expect to actually like feel a release during it, but I put on over-ear headphones. I put on 432 hertz, right? That's the manifestation one.
432 hertz.
432 hertz, just like music. And I watched it burn and I was mesmerized. Like I could not take my eyes off of this. It burned for 30 minutes. The whole time I was just like meditating. And also, you mentioned an ex, but if anyone wants to do this, you can do this with anyone in your life. Like it could be a toxic family member,
someone that's holding you back.
Someone that's holding you back. Someone that just is occupying your mental space and you know that it's not right for you or good for you. Yeah, no, wow. Highly recommend.
It was
but
awesome.
You're so right. You have to be ready for it. You can't just like, you'll feel really weird if you're not ready for it.
Yeah, if you're not ready for it, it's going to feel weird and you're going to be like, this doesn't work because your mindset isn't. And we've talked about this on our episode with Dr. Lay when we talked about witchcraft, because some of you might not believe in witchcraft. We talk about how on this podcast, we're a little witchy. We like to do our rituals and our little ceremonies and our manifesting rituals, right? What witchcraft really is, like maybe if we're like, okay, cord cutting ceremony, that's stupid. I'm not going to do that. It really is just you putting intention behind an action. Like you want to be done with this person and you're literally presenting it as so. And it's kind of proving to yourself like, okay, I'm doing this to free myself. And it just makes it more real rather than, you know, kind of like sitting on it and it like manifesting in your brain. It's more real when you do something and put your hands to work.
Yeah, it's the physical manifestation of it. So
Yeah.
I'm doing this. I'm letting go of this. I'm moving forward in a new direction, and the good will start flowing. The things that are meant for you. 100%.
Yeah. So it's really cool. You can make it more than just like what we said. You can add in tarot cards. Like I did my own like tarot spread while I did my cord cutting ceremony, and then light some incense, bring out your crystals, whatever you feel like you need to make this super real for you and to make you feel confident that you can finally let go and move on.
I love that. We had a full moon a couple of days ago, and I love a full moon release.
Love that shit.
My new thing is in the morning of the full moon, I'll write my list of like things I want to release, and I'll say, thank you, universe, for letting me release these things, blah, 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 list them all out. And I keep that paper on my nightstand all day. And then at night, I'll do my like fold it away from me, rip it up, burn it ceremony.
Yes.
And I like it. I like sitting with it all day and just like knowing that that's what I'm going to release. So that's my new thing.
I love it. There's a little witchcraft project for you guys to try on your own if you feel like you've been needing to release someone, I guess, specifically is what the cord cutting ceremony is for. So try it out. Let us know how it goes. Send us your pictures of your ceremony.
Listen, if this sounds crazy to you guys, just know that Hannah and I both did this. And 2 weeks later, for both of us, shit got interesting.
Literally 2 weeks later, I met my now boyfriend.
Oh my God.
It was crazy.
Boyfriend drop on the pod. Hard launch on the pod.
I just hard launched. Yeah.
That was the first mention.
My sleep farting guy. It does get better. It does get better.
Obsessed with this. Wow.
Yeah.
Yay, I'm so happy you heart launched.
And then and then 2 weeks after Amanda did hers, I told her, I was like, listen, watch this timeline. It was really weird because the weekend after I did my cord cutting ceremony, me and Amanda did a photo shoot for Pelvic POV and we felt super hot and badass. And then the week after she did her cord cutting ceremony, we did another photo shoot for Pelvic POV, and this was not planned. Like, it just happened. And I told her, be ready because next week some stuff is going to be happening in your love life if that's what you're calling in.
Also, important to note, I looked up my actual Saturn return dates because there's dates where it's fully in the position it was when you were born within your like 2-year Saturn return period. And my last Saturn return date was the day after my cord cut, or the day of my cord cutting ceremony.
Whoa.
And I didn't even know that at the time. I just knew that like my Saturn return was coming to a close, and it ended up being the last day of my Saturn return.
That's freaky leaky deaky.
Isn't that freaky deaky?
Freaky
The
deaky,
universe
leaky
just
weaky.
like knew I needed this ceremony.
Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't it crazy when the universe is?
Big time.
Yeah.
If you let it will universe.
I know that. So another tip from me, if you want another witchy tip, I have this thing. If I ask the universe, I'm like, anytime I need to know I'm on the right path, I need you to show me this. So anytime I see a pug, I know that the universe is telling me, keep going, you're on the right path. And I've been seeing a lot of pugs lately, and it's been winter, Chicago winter.
Also, fun fact, every time I see a pug, I say, Hannah's going to have a great day today. I said that out loud to Lauren the other day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's my thing. So find your thing, like your object. It can be anything. And I don't know. I think some people have used like bees or whatever.
Yeah.
What do you,
do
you have one?
I need one.
You need something because
When
then
I see it.
it'll give you a little bit of like a boost of like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, last year it was the oyster. It was 2024 was the year of the oyster. I need something for 2025.
Yeah, you can change it too. It doesn't have to stay the same. Mm-hmm. I just love pugs.
I know.
Love those little freaks.
They are so cute to just see out in the wild.
Yeah, it's crazy when I do. I'm like, how the fuck does this thing exist?
It shouldn't.
If that thing can exist, then
Their eyes pop out.
yeah, they do.
They pop right out.
They really do.
That's crazy.
It's wild.
It shouldn't be happening, right?
No. But anyways, those are our witch tips for you.
Witchcraft.
Witch tip of the week. All right, guys. Now, did that sound like a trumpet? That was way better than mine. That sounded like a sound effect.
Nice.
Do it again. Do you think it's because you're good at opera?
Maybe.
You should do that more often.
Yeah, let me think of some opportunities to just whip that one out
On the podcast.
Okay, I'll do that more on the pod.
Yeah, guys, it's time for another Q&A. Yeah.
We're excited. We haven't done this in a while.
You guys loved our last Q&A. It's one of our more watched episodes. So we wanted to answer some more questions that you guys sent in. We put on our story every now and then to prompt you guys to send us in some questions. So make sure you're following us on Instagram if you're not already. But there's always the link in our bio open for you to drop in your questions literally whenever you want, whenever you're listening to this episode. So
we have quite a few today, so we'll see what we can get through.
yes, we do.
Shall I start by asking you one?
Yes, and let me pull it up as well. Okay.
Question number 1. Is it normal to feel pressure in my vagina postpartum? Almost like it feels like something is falling out sometimes, and I'm worried something is wrong, and I've read about prolapse, and now I'm scared to lift heavy weights. It hasn't felt normal since after my second child.
This is the question normal is kind of a weird one. It's not normal because we don't want you to think like, yeah, this is just life now. Get used to it. No, it's common though. It is something that happens, which what you're describing could be prolapse, which you would want to get an assessment from your physician or a pelvic floor PT to make sure, Prolapse is more common than people think. And it's just pretty much weakening of the pelvic floor muscles, causing descent of the pelvic organs, right? Which gives you those pressure sensations. So this could be like increased pressure in the pelvic area, heaviness, feeling of falling out, like something's going to fall out. Maybe it worsens when you run, or like what this person said, when you lift heavy weights. Do you want to address the lifting weights portion?
Yeah, because this is actually something I hear a ton from people who have a diagnosed prolapse. So if I get a patient coming in with a diagnosed prolapse, in every single evaluation, at some point they say, I'm scared to work out. I'm scared to get back to doing this because I don't want to make it worse. It's really important to note that you can lift weights and do your normal activities safely, even with a prolapse. There's different things we can do in pelvic floor therapy, depending on the grade of it. There's 4 grades of prolapse that we can assess. And if it's at that point where you're feeling that has heaviness, it may be still pretty small. It could be a 1, 2. It could be closer to a 3. If it truly feels like something's falling out of your vagina, you want to get that assessed and make sure you have it graded properly, because you might want to get fitted with a pessary, which is something that just helps support the internal organs that are coming out, because you can have different types of prolapses. From a pelvic floor standpoint, we're focusing a ton on coordination and breath work, because what people end up doing that can contribute to prolapse is bearing down during exercise or during bowel movements or like passing urine too. And that can worsen prolapse and ultimately just not benefit it. But if you have your coordination down, you should be, lifting and drawing in. And with heavy weightlifting or weightlifting in general, you might not have any issues doing that with a prolapse, and it might not make it worse at all. So ultimately, getting it assessed is important. And pelvic floor therapists can assess this and help with coordination. And that's usually what I say to all my athletes, because people really want to get back to what they're doing. And it's important to note that you can do that safely.
Yes, good answer. So if we want to short answer this question, is it normal to feel pressure in my vagina postpartum? Not normal, but it is common and can happen and can be helped with pelvic floor PT. And then with the other comment of being scared to lift heavy weights, you still can lift heavy weights, but you might want to see a pelvic floor therapist too, to make sure that you're breathing correctly and coordinating it so that you're not increasing the symptoms of your prolapse, right? We will do a full episode on prolapse, because we actually haven't done that yet, because there's so many things we can talk about. Amanda mentioned pessaries, so I'm sure that a ton of people don't know what pessaries are, so we can address that in another episode. And then some other options that you don't need to get fitted for that can help with prolapse, and then exercises and things like that. So we will drop that soon.
Yeah, we've never done that.
Yeah, we haven't. Weird. Crazy. Yeah, guys, if you have a question, send it in, Mm-hmm. There's so much in the world of pelvic floor. Are you ready for the next question?
Next question.
Okay, you ready? Let's do it, girl. I thought if I had a C-section, then my pelvic floor would be fine since I wasn't delivering vaginally. But I'm still having pain with sex now postpartum. Is this normal after a C-section?
Wow.
This is a biggie.
This is a biggie.
This is a big-o.
Again, normal? No. Common? Very much so. We have talked about postpartum pelvic floor therapy in another episode before, so I would urge anyone curious about this question to go back and listen to that. But yes, it is common to have pain with sex post C-section, and that is because during pregnancy, regardless of how you deliver, your pelvic floor is going to build tension. When your belly expands to accommodate the weight of the fetus, your pelvic floor muscles weaken and lengthen a little bit. But that also means that your abdomen, your abdominals are weakening and lengthening too. And while they can still activate, your pelvic floor muscles are going to kick in over time to help support the weight of the fetus and just the stability in your hips at that time, because you have some more ligament laxity going on during pregnancy. So when we are prepping people for a vaginal delivery, we're always working on lengthening and downtraining those muscles in the second and third trimesters. And if we know a patient is planning a cesarean, we're still going to downtrain those pelvic floor muscles because they are still building that same tension. So it's not so much about how you delivered that contributes to the pain you're having postpartum. It's about the pregnant state in general. And that is similar for people that deliver vaginally and with a C-section.
This is a question that comes up a lot. I actually saw this on Love is Blind.
Really?
I swear it was a long time ago, though. I don't even remember what season. I remember just being triggered, oh, that's wrong, but whatever. She said that she wanted to have a C-section, planned C-section, and not deliver vaginally so that it wouldn't affect the way that she has sex afterwards.
I remember seeing that too.
Yeah.
I've seen it on multiple dating shows where someone mentions, oh, I'm having a C-section, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And it's something about keeping the vagina tight or not letting it lengthen or weaken.
Which in reality, you can deliver if you want to have a C-section or you want to deliver vaginally. Either way you deliver, it's good at the end of the day. We just want to put it out there that you having a C-section and not delivering vaginally, you could still have the exact same impact on your pelvic floor postpartum, if not worse sometimes or whatever. It's different for every single person and isn't necessarily impacted by the way you deliver.
Yeah, because I'm thinking what this person is thinking is probably because there wasn't any tearing from delivery. They shouldn't have that pain. But the pain doesn't come just from tearing. Often that perineal tear will heal in the typical, 6 to 8 weeks, and then we work on some of the scar tissue there. Maybe that can contribute to lingering pain with sex for certain patients. But tension in the pelvic floor is a big factor in painful intimacy. We see so many people that have never been pregnant or delivered that have pain with sex just from pelvic floor tension. So you can definitely still have that from a C-section.
Yeah, so that's a big pelvic floor myth, I would say.
Yeah. Good question, though.
Very good question.
Next question.
All right, let's move on along.
It feels different now having sex postpartum. Not painful, just different. Will it ever feel like it did before?
Okay, this is kind of another postpartum question. It's a good lead-off question. So it feels different having sex postpartum, not painful, just different. So it's really hard to assess what she means or what this person means by this because I don't know exactly. I think I would need more information. So I would need a pelvic floor assessment for sure because let's see how your muscles are functioning. But short answer to this question, will it ever feel like it did before? We can do the work to help improve your sex with pelvic floor strengthening, pelvic floor relaxation, working on breathing techniques, everything like that. So it can get better.
Yeah.
If it does feel different.
That's a good answer. Just adding to that, any pelvic floor symptom or any pelvic floor dysfunction or any root of dysfunction, which could be like weakness, tightness, anything like that happening in the muscles, pain doesn't necessarily come with those. So even though pain is common when pelvic floors are tight, that's not always the main symptom people experience. So it could be heaviness, it could be pressure, it could be that they don't feel it as much. There's just reduced sensation. And that could be, we don't know if they tore and there's still scar tissue there and some of that sensation still has to come back. So it could be a variety of things.
All right, let's move on to the next one.
Next.
Okay, I'm going to read this one. IDK if this happens to other people, but sometimes I literally feel like I'm wiping nonstop after I poop and I'm never fully clean. What's going on? LOL. It's so annoying and I swear I'm not gross.
The disclaimer at the end. What's going on is called fecal smearing. So that's when you need more than a couple wipes to really get everything clean. And this person said sometimes they never feel clean. So it seems like it kind of just continues for them. Similar to any bladder issues, incontinence, urgency, things like that, fecal smearing can be caused by pelvic floor tension or pelvic floor weakness or both. So if someone has weakness in their pelvic floor, they're not going to have as much of that sphincteric control to kind of cut off the bowel movement at the end. But you're probably thinking like, well, why do they need to cut it off if not all of it's out? That could be due to tension. So if there's too much tension in the pelvic floor, the full bowel movement might not make its way out. And then you have this weakness that stops the cutoff. Does that make sense?
That makes sense to me.
I'm trying to make this as layman as possible. Because if your full bowel movement does come out, you're probably not going to have fecal smearing. And that would mean that you have the right amount of tension in your pelvic floor and you have that sphincteric control. So it's a little bit of a give and take with bowel movements. Hopefully that helps.
If it feels like you're wiping a marker, go see pelvic floor PT.
Totally.
If it's really that annoying for you, because you might benefit from a rectal assessment to see how your sphincter control is, like Amanda was saying, or just your pelvic floor muscle tone and strength is in general.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
But it does happen. It is a thing that we see people for. So you're not gross and don't feel weird about asking that question because it happens to a lot of people and is way more common than you think.
Mm-hmm.
When we are destigmatizing. So
Next
question.
Why does pooping sometimes feel ... suspiciously good?
It does. You know how it feels after you poop and it feels good. You know, sometimes it just feels good to like go and take a big poop.
Yeah, I think a lot of people enjoy pooping actually.
Yeah. So I think the idea behind this is that you're relaxing your pelvic floor muscles. You're triggering the vagus nerve when you relax your pelvic floor muscles, your rectum and your colon to have a bowel movement, which just makes you feel more relaxed and it feels good. And that's why. That's pretty much it.
Enough said.
So there is like a mechanism behind why this is happening.
Now, if this person's talking about it feeling really good, like orgasmic good.
Yeah.
Do we change our answer?
You know what? This is kind of another question I think I had recently. Why do people enjoy anal sex?
Yeah.
It's the same idea. Like it feels good because you're
Didn't
relaxing.
I ask you that about?
You ask me?
Well, I asked you about butt plugs because I've never tried one.
Yeah, butt plugs. That's what it was. It wasn't anal sex.
Yeah.
It was butt plugs. Why do butt plugs feel good?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that same idea. It triggers that vagus nerve response.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Butt plugs are actually a really cool addition if you're thinking about, I mean, if you are a person like this and you're like, oh, pooping feels good sometimes, try a butt plug during sex. And that's coming from your doctor of physical therapy.
You heard it here first.
They make cute little ones with like gems on it. You might enjoy it. And if you don't enjoy it, then don't do it again. I don't know what to tell you.
I'll try anything twice.
Right. 100%. All right. Nice. So going off that question, get a butt plug. If you like that. If you like to poop.
I think you're next.
Next question. All right. Ready? Why do I fart when I sit down to pee? LOL.
LOL.
I
Basically,
like how all our questions like get sent in are like LOL or like don't think I'm gross or like whatever.
it's the same way people talk in person about pelvic floor stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, haha, this is so awkward,
Or,
but
like, this is TMI, but
Yeah.
like no girl.
it's just that little filler to make people feel more comfortable typing it. Mm-hmm. We got you. Don't
I
worry.
got you. Don't worry.
Basically the same reason. You're relaxing your pelvic floor muscles. So if you're trying to hold in a fart, you're creating tension, whether it's the wrong tension or the right tension. You could be drawing in and it's fine, or maybe you're like creating abdominal tension and that's creating even more tension in the pelvic floor. I don't know. But when you sit down to pee, even if you're muscling your urine out, you might muscle your fart out too. But if you're peeing the way we would recommend and you're actually breathing diaphragmatically and relaxing, you have no control over whether your fart comes out because you relaxed your pelvic floor.
The pelvic floor muscles are all in one big old bowl. So when they're relaxing, they should be relaxing all together, which is similar to like people are like, oh my God, when I deliver my baby, I'm going to poop on the table. What? It's like the same idea. It's the same muscles, right? You have like specific sphincters, right? But it's kind of hard to like literally isolate that because the muscles are all around those sphincters. Same muscles.
I have a tip though.
What's your tip?
Same as my sleep running tip.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Here's a scenario. You're on a lovely second date. You went to your date's apartment. Their bathroom is attached to their bedroom.
Yes.
And you just had a lovely night with them. And then you're like, shit, I have to pee, but I kind of feel like I've been holding in a fart.
That's the worst, dude. Happens to me all the time still.
Me too. I've gone home because of it.
Guess I'll just leave now.
I'm like, this bathroom
Wait, you just got here.
is too close. I have to go home. If you shift your hips on the toilet, you don't have to create tension. Just shift to the side and create like a little angle. You won't hear the fart. It'll be like a pff instead of like a pff.
Okay, yeah.
That's the same as my underwear idea.
Yeah, and if you guys don't know about Amanda's underwear idea, if you're sleeping, shove a bunch of sweatpants and underwear in your butt crack so your fart can escape and not reverberate through your cheeks. Okay.
Not the wording of that. That's so good.
Thanks. I was going to say, another tip. If you are apartment hunting, don't get a freaking apartment with the bathroom right next to the bedroom with a very thin wall.
Especially with like wood floors and gapping so the door doesn't even fully close.
When I'm looking for my next apartment, my bathroom better be far away from the bedroom or like enough distance. There must be a fan, something to disguise.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, I don't care if you pooping and farting, but sometimes I don't need to hear that.
Totally.
And you don't need to hear it from me.
Yeah.
Let me do my thing, like, so I don't have to be trying to pee really slow to try to hold my fart in. I'm going to try that right now.
It's bad enough that my cat doesn't let me have my privacy.
Yeah.
I have to open the door for her and she has to come in and like sit by me while I'm pooping.
Yeah, Felix has to sit on my stool. He sits on my squatty potty stool and stares into my soul. Pooping. He's like, yeah, what are you doing?
So good.
All
right, next.
Hope we answered that one well. All right. Ooh, this is my turn to read to you.
No, I'm reading to you.
Okay, cool.
Okay, wanted to see what you girls thought of this. You know how men be like, oh, she's so loose if she slept with a lot of people. Like, I know this is not a thing, but like, what the fuck? Good question.
Yeah. And I like how this person that sent this in was like, I know this is stupid, but what do you guys think of this?
Yeah, because it is.
Because people literally think that too. And women will think like, oh, I can't sleep with a lot of people because I'm going to be loose down there.
Vagina rehab doctor just posted a meme. Did you see it?
No.
It was like a penis, and then it was like penis if you only sleep with one person, and then it was like penis if you have multiple partners, and it was a tiny little like pencil dick. I was like, this is exactly what you fucking sound like.
It's 100% because this is what guys, people in long-term, you don't think people in long-term relationships have sex all the time?
They have more sex than people that aren't in long-term. I'm just going to throw that out there. Yeah. As a currently single person, Hannah gets laid way more than me with her freaking boyfriend.
So like people that are having sex with multiple partners over time, like maybe you have multiple partners, doesn't correlate with the amount of times you're having sex. It doesn't work like that. It is just some stupid thing made up by a man probably to put shame on women for having sex.
It's good old-fashioned sexism too. It's not even like overt. It's not new age. This is old school sexism.
This is one of my qualms. Bringing it back. Haven't said it in a while.
Good mention.
This is one of my qualms with Love Island, actually, because it is always a question on Love Island is the body count question. And there is always, without a doubt, some man who says they can't date someone or date a woman that has had a body count over like 5 or like
insane.
9. But then they've had sex with like their body count is like literally 100 plus and they don't even know it.
It makes me so mad.
Tell me how that makes sense. Make it make sense right now for me. Look me in the eyes and tell me that makes sense.
And if there's anyone listening to this podcast that's like, oh, but I kind of get it because no, shut the fuck up. I'm just going to throw that out there. Shut up. You're wrong.
If you're having safe sex, you're having consensual safe sex, what's the problem?
Yeah.
What is the problem?
So yeah, I like this question because
that's something that we needed to address.
We need to address that.
Other part of this question, are you loose the more you have sex? Does your vagina get loose? No, this is not a thing. It's not a thing, okay? So go be having your sex. Go do it.
Yeah, the human body is a little bit smarter than that.
Yeah.
Your muscles have the ability to relax and lengthen and contract and tighten, and they have elasticity as well. So we can deliver a whole ass fetus baby out of our vagina and it will recoil. It has that recoil and elasticity within the tissue to get back to its nature. Like sex isn't going to make that any worse either.
And if you're exercising a normal exercise routine, let's say you're going to Pilates, you're going to bar, whatever it is, you're weight training, whatever, you're coordinating, you're breathing appropriately, you're strengthening your pelvic floor by doing all of those things. Mm-hmm. So you're good, girl.
You're a good girl. Go get laid.
Go get laid.
For the both of us.
And feel good about it. And then send that meme by vagina rehab doctor to that man.
So good. I love that.
Okay, we have one last question and it's on IUDs, and this is a 2-part question. What are your thoughts on IUDs and do you find it correlates with pelvic pain? And then on top of that, does getting IUDs taken out ever hurt for months afterwards?
Interesting one. So IUDs are not fully within our scope as pelvic floor therapists, but it is important for us to address because we have so many patients with IUD stories, with IUDs currently in them, and who have gotten IUDs removed. And we see a variety of people with different forms of pelvic floor dysfunction. So we're not saying any of it is directly caused by an IUD or not. My personal thoughts on IUDs is it's a great thing to have as a resource. I think having birth control as an option is very important, and an IUD is a form of birth control. So I'm never going to say we shouldn't have access to IUDs. Do I think they're right for everyone? No. I think everyone should be well educated by their gynecologist on what birth control is going to be best for them based on their history with maybe pelvic floor dysfunction, pain sensitivity in the pelvic region. If they are nervous about it, I find that people that are overly nervous about the fact that an IUD is in them are more likely, in my experience, to question whether every symptom they're experiencing is caused by their IUD. And I'm also speaking from personal experience. That's why I don't have an IUD, because I am someone that's like, oh, I just need to be able to rip it out of me if I don't want it in anymore. And so to get to the specifics of this question, I like IUDs. I think they're a great resource for people to have. In some cases, they can correlate with pelvic pain. They found that if an IUD isn't placed correctly or if it gets mislodged,
Malpositioned or
yes, you can have pelvic pain most often with intimacy where you're like, oh, that's a really intense, deep pain. And then they go in and they'll remove it or replace it in a different position in the uterus. And sometimes that can fix it. If this goes on for a really long time, it can, like anything, contribute to chronic pain because that's a painful stimulus happening on repeat. And that is eventually how we start to remember pain in the body. And that can lead to a chronic pain. But they don't directly, like the IUD itself isn't directly causing that. It's, something about its placement or where it is that can.
We have heard some IUD horror stories for sure. Going off what Amanda said, there's not really a way to say like, yes, this is what is causing your pain. But we have had patients come in and say, ever since I got my IUD taken out, I've had this pain. Or ever since I got my IUD in, I've had this pain. And that is a thing that happens sometimes, but it could be for other reasons as well. And then sometimes maybe people are putting like 2 and 2 together, putting the timelines together, thinking it's correlated to IUD. There should be more research on it. 100%.
Also, throwing it out there, everyone should get the opportunity for a local anesthetic when they get an IUD placed or taken out. What the heck?
Yeah, dude.
Insane.
And I was actually at my gynecologist recently, and I know pap smears are unbearably terrible for some people. And for some people, it's not a big deal. And I was talking to my gynecologist about this, and she was like, everyone's sensitivity of their cervix is different. Some people have a lot of sensitivity, just like normal pain tolerance. Like maybe if you like pinch me here, I'm like not super sensitive, but like another person could be like, like a lower pain tolerance, whatever. But everyone's different. So if your pap smears are really painful, you might not want to get an IUD.
That's true.
Right? So explore those options with your gynecologist.
Fun fact, I cannot feel pap smears.
Really?
No pain.
That's interesting. I just feel, I actually saw a TikTok on this. Someone, I think I sent it to the POV account because I said I wanted to talk about this. So it's good that I'm thinking about this right now. Someone said, does anyone just feel like the ick after they get a pap smear?
Yeah, you get that cramping.
You get that like just ick sensation, just like, ew.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it is common to just get that like icky ick sensation after a pap smear.
I do get that.
Yeah.
Because then, it's like a different cramping.
Yeah.
Than a menstrual cycle.
Yeah. I don't know. Mentally too, I feel like it's because I know this is a consensual thing and needs to happen, but it just feels so wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like my body still doesn't want it. And it's just awkward.
Yeah, you're up there scraping me for what? Get out of there.
Yeah, I know. And it's like, I know I need to do this, but pap smears are just so uncomfy.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to have happen.
I really like my gynecologist though, because she like helps me through it so much.
That's awesome.
You need to find a good gynecologist.
Part 2 to this question.
Let's do it.
Does getting IUDs taken out ever hurt for months afterwards? We would say that is not normal. To get back to the other questions we got answered today. If you're having pain for months after getting an IUD taken out, you're definitely going to want to see the provider that took it out just to see what they say is going on. I don't know how long people typically experience pain post IUD removal, but any intervention, if I'm hearing the word months afterwards, that is a flag to me where something is a little bit off. Would you say that?
Yeah. I say step 1, go back to your provider. Step 2, see what they say. Step 3, seek out other resources to help with the pain too and get more assessments. Like pelvic floor PT does an internal assessment as well.
Yeah.
So we can assess if there's anything else going on.
Mm-hmm. Pelvic floor dysfunction can come from a traumatic experience. So if getting your IUD removed was really painful, really something you weren't looking forward to, that you were anticipating for a long time, like you might have just built up some pelvic floor tension during that time. It could be as quote unquote simple as a tight pelvic floor. And that's something that, a PT could handle.
Yeah.
But if it is from the removal itself, you're going to want to see the provider that did that.
Yeah. So tackle it from both ends. I say it too like this, like imagine one little child in a crowded room starts screaming, then everyone around that child is going to start screaming, and then it kind of spreads and spreads and spreads. And that's similar to that. You have like a painful experience. And if it was traumatic for you or it was super painful, then maybe you're having some of that, central sensitization is what we call it, where now other muscles are freaking out. And your nerves are just like, get away from me. And we need to calm them down, which we can do with pelvic floor PT.
These were good questions.
Good sewed.
We got through almost all of them. We'll hit the last couple maybe on our next Q&A.
Yeah.
Yeah, these were really great, guys. So please continue to ask these. We already, from these questions, are inspired for a few different episodes that we will record for y'all. So head to the link in our bio on social media. It's at Pelvic POV and submit your questions there. Also check out our merch when you go in there.
Yeah, pelvicpov.co is our little website. Which we need to upload our new pictures. We just did a little photo shoot for our merch.
I know, new photos coming in hot.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Well, if you guys are a pelvic freak, if you're a new pelvic freak, welcome. And guys, last thing before you go. Hold your horses, hold your pants, keep your pants on, okay? Go leave us a review. Please. Rate us. Leave us a review. Rate us on Spotify. 5 stars if you wish. That would be great.
If you wish.
Please help us manifest something other than queefing and farting and
pee farting and sleep farting.
I guarantee you, I'm going to go over to my boyfriend's tonight. I'm going to pee fart so loud because we talked about it today because that's just how it works on this podcast.
All right.
All right, guys.
Bye, pelvic freaks.
Bye, pelvic freaks.